You're tuned into Full Service Radio.
Full Service Radio.
Full Service.
Full Service. Full Service.
Full Service Radio. Hey everyone, I'm Melissa, and you are tuning into the Edible Activist Podcast. This show highlights Black and brown edible activists in the food and farming space. And not that kind of edible you're probably thinking about, but we're talking about food activism and stories that are bringing us back to the land. As the creator of Food Talks DC, I travel the DC area and beyond to document personal food journeys, anecdotes, and perspectives from everyday people on topics related to health, tradition, environment, food justice, culture, and so much more. Every week, I will bring in a special guest to hear their personal food journey firsthand and learn how they are channeling edible activism in the DC area. We don't promote people, we tell stories and empower communities. Today on the show, actually, this is a special show because we're venturing outside of DC, guys. And you know, I've been talking about this a lot lately. You've been hearing me toss the city around. Detroit. We got Detroit in the house, okay? So I'm so excited to have Sabrina Nelson in the building. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi. In Detroit, we say, what up, doe?
What up, doe? You know who said that to me? Passion. Detroit, what up, doe?
Hey, that's a Detroit thing. You have to say, what up, doe?
I love it. So, Sabrina, and this is, I snagged this from her Instagram, and I could have said this myself, but I'm going to read to you exactly how she has it in her tagline on her page. She's a professional artist. She is a vegan. She's an artivist. Did I say that right?
You
sis?
did. Artivist.
Mm-hmm. Dope 50 plus, y'all. Looking like she's 25. She's a grandmother and a mom, world citizen, a unicorn, mermaid, and queen.
And we definitely mermaids because we don't like shallow water.
We don't like shallow. You better say it. Deep. Welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so glad that the universe has created this space for me to be here. So I don't think things happen by chance. So I was meant to be here, and you were meant to walk in that sacred Shenometry alley and find that space and find our space, and now we're here in this space.
Absolutely. So for those of you, so many of you guys have been following my Detroit series that Lita and I just both completed. And Sabrina was one of the wonderful people who I met in Detroit. And off the whim, this was another serendipitous meetup. I shared a little bit. I was meeting with someone else. I saw her walking. We didn't know each other. I found her ass on Instagram. I hit her up.
Because I'm so hidden.
Is she so
blending into all the walls?
All the walls. And she was like, yo, what are you doing in Detroit? And I was just like, we're here doing this food project. We're interviewing people in the growing space. And she was drawn to what I was doing and the food narratives and what have you. And I didn't realize that while I was interviewing someone in Eastern Market, she was painting a mural. And when I met her, she was like, I have a story myself, So I'm really excited about these conversations because it's going to be a blend of food journeys and activism and art, and just everything that she represents. And she just really dropped some gems on me when we were talking, and it just really just helped me to validate more of the work that I do and using art as a way to express yourself, in the world of activism, in the world of whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you stand for, whatever you represent, whatever you're fighting for, So although we talk about food and edible activism, there's so many different ways that people can channel that. And I think it's just so neat that, you being an artist in so many different ways and you having this journey of veganism and the things that influence you coming up in Detroit. It's just all awesome. So we're going to talk about all that. But walk us through, let's walk us through your journey of coming up in Detroit and what that influence was like when you decided to go vegan? Because you were very transparent with me about your journey.
I am. So I grew up in Detroit. I was born in 1967. So during our Great Rebellion, I was on my way here, which is an indication of my personality and what Detroit made in me. I grew up from a family from Alabama, as many of us are, that is a result of the Great Migration to the North. My family came to Detroit because of the automotive industry. And my grandmother, this is my maternal family, by the way. She was a daughter of a farmer. And so when they came to Detroit to work, they also had gardens. And so my grandmother was a staunch, like, beautiful woman, like, just on the outside of her aesthetics. But she believed in eating from food that was grown in her yard. And so we always had apple trees. We had an orchard. We had apple trees, pear trees, cherry trees. And my grandmother planted yearly. And so I had to help weed the garden. But often I was sitting in the middle of the strawberry patch eating the garden. And my grandmother would grow watermelon and greens and corn. And I think we grew corn every other year because of what it did to the soil. And so I learned many things about when it was time to pull the radishes out, when it was time to pull certain cruciferous vegetables, and so I had to do the reaping or the pulling of the vegetables. And so I would go through the harvesting. That's the word my brain is not saying.
You're good,
but I see it in my head. So I was the one who had to do it. And there were 7 of us. And so we were the grandchildren. And so we just got used to the soups that were being made and the jellies that were being made and even the wines. So my grandmother actually did a lot of ice cream making. So a lot of the foods that we had in our home, she grew. And so we got used to that. But my grandmother also was a hunter. And I mean, she would hunt for deer and rabbit and raccoon, and we would eat them. And I mean, we would eat hog head cheese. We would eat all of that. And then I remember one day asking, well, what is this? What is it made from? And then her showing me. And I was terrified when I would see the hog's head and how she would mush it all together with the snout and the ears and the hoofs and the feet. And I'd be like, yo. we got a dog and we eating the pig, and then we would go to Alabama and we would see the pigs and all the animals that my aunts and my great aunts would keep. And I would be like, I want to play with the animals. And they would be like, no, baby, we eating this tonight. We gonna eat this. And so we had like cured ham in sheds, and they would buy whole animals and put them in freezers. And so I just grew up watching that. And when we would cook for everybody, and there were always big pots of food. And so there was never a cooking just for yourself. And so I grew up eating what the family cooked. And as a result of, the way that our family was, and I would say colonization, we took the scraps and we made these beautiful delicatessens, but food was pretty in our family because everything was pretty, from the table setting to the plate to how it looked on the plate. And so as I grew into my own woman, and my grandmother died very young. My grandmother died, I would say, in her 60s. And she died of, she had difficulty with her bowels, her intestines. And the doctors would tell her she had high blood pressure and diabetes to stop eating certain foods. And she wasn't very overweight, but she was beautiful on the outside. And I think because the misnomer is if you look good on the outside, there's nothing could possibly be wrong on the inside. And I just watched her kill herself by what she ate. And a lot of our family members were dying very young from high blood pressure, from diabetes. And then I just, in my family, I think by the time you turned 30, you were taking a water pill.
Yeah.
You were taking insulin, and I just didn't want it to happen to me. And I watched my grandmother walk around with baskets of pills from the pharmacy, baskets of pills. Now, this woman grew up knowing how to eat out of a garden, but she was always in restaurants because people would take her out to eat, and she liked that, but she would go fishing too. So she lived 2 lives. She lived the life of the gardener, that was an organic gardener, but she also lived the life of a person who ate the foods with processed stuff, and she smoked. And so I just made it up in my mind that by the time I got in my 20s, I became a vegetarian, and then I became a vegan. And I said, I'm going to stop family illness. I don't think it was as much about the animal rights as it was, I don't want to create or continue the legacy of taking pills. I don't want to
it was a generational thing.
Continue the legacy of dying young and
let
killing
me pause,
myself.
because that one thing that I really appreciated about your transparency in your story, Sabrina said, I just wanted to stop family illnesses. That's it. Because people become vegans for a number of reasons, whether it's animal rights, whether it's climate issues, and to each his own. I get it. I support it. But Sabrina's just like, listen.
We were dying. We're dying. I lost my grandmother, and she was young, and she was beautiful, and I could have used some advice from her just to sit at the hem of her garment and listen to all of the stories in her life. And I feel like on my father's side, the women lived to be 103 years old. My grandmother on my father's side didn't eat meat. She stopped eating red meat after a while, and then she started eating, just healthier. And I thought, if she can live and her sisters can live to be 103 years old, then maybe I can take control of one thing, because I really have no control over anything in this world except for what I put in my body.
Absolutely.
What I allow in my temple. That means my mind, the art way that I think, and the food that I eat. And so that's when I made a conscious decision to change the way that my family genetics would be.
Wow. Melissa here with the Edible Activist Podcast, broadcasting live here at the Line Hotel and Full Service Radio. I am sitting here with Sabrina Nelson, professional artist, vegan, mom, college recruiter. She works for arts college in Detroit. So she travels around, just meeting great people in the art space.
And eating great food.
And eating great food. I've been following you on Instagram,
I find those vegan
Ethiopian,
restaurants.
everything.
Yes.
And so I had an awesome time chatting it up with Sabrina when I met her in Detroit, and she's in town, and we're having a conversation, just learning more about her journey and her veganism journey. And again, I really appreciate that it was also like a non-judgmental space too that you created around our conversations, because food can be very judgmental.
Right. And I'm not a vegan snob. There are vegan snobs out here, because I didn't come into it based on fear. And I think after I watched Forks Over Knives and I think Super Size It or something like that. There were all these different films that I watched about veganism, but that was way like 3 or 5 years after I had become a vegan. And then there were all of these people that I would meet that would be surprised that I was a vegan. Like, I was dating. They were like, well, we can't really date. I say, hey, you can eat what you want to eat, and I'll cook the dead carcass for you. I mean, that's on you. I dated one guy who was in the midst of having a stroke. And he would laugh at me, and he was feeding his children fried foods daily, and he would order food daily. And he was a little bit, like maybe 3 or 4 years younger than me. And we were sleeping together. But then I was like, you snore, you're overweight. I mean, you cute in your mind, but in your actions and the way that you walk through your life, this is not healthy for you.
Not healthy.
And so you got 5 babies, and I'm over here, and I'm sleeping with you, but you know. So this is what I need you to do. I need you to think consciously about what you're putting in your body. And if you have control over that, just start in small pieces. Just start with a cleanse and take a little bit out daily.
Baby steps.
And so he didn't. And we were going out one night to a movies, but he had gotten sick, like really sick, like the flu sick, right? Speaking of P. Diddy's ex-person, he got pneumonia. And I went to pick him up because he wasn't answering his phone. And I opened the door, the kids were in there, and I said, where's your dad? He's upstairs, he won't get out of bed. I said, he's not answering the phone. I go upstairs, I said, are you all right? Every time he coughed, he turned gray. Now, this brother was dark, berry, black, brown. I'm talking Wesley Snipes. This brother, all the blood went out of his face when he coughed. I said, you are very ill. Can I take you to emergency? And he said, well, I was getting ready to fry some chicken. If you go downstairs and fry the chicken, I'll go to the hospital with you. I said, all right, okay. Went downstairs, fried the goddamn on chicken.
Oh,
he tried to eat the chicken, threw the shit up all over the couch.
He didn't even make it.
Listen. I said, now, can you get your black ass in the damn car so we can go to the... We went to the hospital. He was having a stroke. I said,
about to die.
Bruh. And I'm so glad. I'm glad you wasn't on me doing a color purple. because I'd have killed your ass.
Sabrina.
So from now on, when I date people, because I date over 50, I got to look in your medicine cabinet. You better tell me what you're on. That brother was supposed to be on some type of heart meds. And he didn't tell me, right? So I ask, are you on any prescription drugs? Because I need to know, because I will kill you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you, I will wear you out. You will croak up and die, laughing at my vegan ass, while I'm laying on top of you talking about whose is it? Which prescription you on?
Done.
I need to know.
I'm shutting this down.
This is the truth. You need to know when you're young like me at heart, and you're in the gym and you're exercising, I will wear your tired ass out if you ain't been to the gym in a little bit and you eating all that pork shit.
That's real talk, though.
So he had a stroke. He was in the hospital. I was like, it's been nice. I'm going to see you through this, but we can't date no more because I can't even do it to you. I can't do it to you. We can't do it no more.
But also, are you gonna? Is he gonna live?
Hey,
like, are you gonna?
If that's not what you want to do, and it gives you more joy to feed your I think sometimes food is replacing things that we really, really need.
Absolutely.
People have holes in their lives, and they put in those holes foods. However, not everything vegan is good for you, but
you're right about that. Say that again.
Listen, Jilly,
say it again.
You know that Jill. What's her name? Jill is black. I have her sweatshirt, and she comments every time I put it on and I post a picture. Not everything vegan is good. However, if you eating some green shit to push out that bad shit, at least you somewhere in the middle.
You're right about that.
Okay, so for him, we became friends, and afterwards he was like, well, can we talk? I said, no, see, you can't laugh at me in the way that I eat, and I'm over here looking at least 46. When you over there looking 73 right now because you done stroked the fuck out. Now, what I can tell people is that we were fucking and I almost killed you and I was the champion. But that's not the truth. It sounds really good for my ego, but the truth is that you eating yourself to death. And that you care more about that food than you do about the legacy with your children.
Absolutely.
And so
absolutely.
For me, that was a wake-up sign because he was young. I mean, and there's people who are dying of diabetes, all these stars, and dying because they're living for everybody else to see, with the internet. Jill is black again. The internet wants to see what you'll do, right? You know what I'm saying? And so if you really live in the silo of your own mind, and when you're putting something in your body that it's going to affect the molecular breakdown and build up, that if you want to be strong, Popeye was right. You know what I'm saying? Eat your damn spinach. Eat that spinach. Eat your spinach. And share that with Olive Oil with her skinny ass.
Yep.
Anyways, get your friend Wimpy together.
I can't interview Sabrina anymore because
Wimpy is not your friend.
I actually forgot to say that Sabrina's also a comedian. I meant to add that in the very beginning.
Life is funny, and you know what? I laugh to keep from crying and hollering because there's so much anger and things that will make you cry in this world. So I think my family learned how to laugh very early, and when we get around the table around the holidays, we laugh hard. Because it's so much that we could be crying for. And so for me, art and food, and art is food and food is art. Because when I put my plates together, when I have my porch sanctuary, it's all about the food. So if you look on my Instagram page, you'll see porch sanctuary or my black vegan kitchen, because you can make food beautiful. And if it's beautiful on the outside, it's going to be beautiful on the inside. My grandmother used to say, if you go to sleep pretty, you'll have beautiful dreams, right? And so my thought is, if you're eating beautiful food, then that means you're going to be beautiful on the inside and it's going to show on the outside.
Wow.
I don't have a difficulty aging. I love the idea of aging. I look forward to getting 103 so I can be like, I told y'all.
This is what I did.
I'm going to be a hot mess with my blue lips at 107.
I see you sitting on that porch cracking jokes. Tell you. With a paintbrush.
Let me tell you, I just think that food is a palette, and you can paint with anything when you're an artist. But for me, I like to look at it beautiful. And sometimes I used to get on my kids' nerves. I would fix the plate and they'd be like, can we just eat? And I'd be like, no, wait a minute. Let me put this on this. Okay, now that's real pretty. Okay, now use this one. And so for me, food is a way of painting. And also how you eat it is a way of praying. It's like meditation. And you're also praying to feed your soul, like Grace Lee Boggs said, now is the time to feed our souls. And so when you think of food justice and food activism and water rights, as we change, and I've had to learn about veganism, because it wasn't about like that whole concept of veganism, which started in the 40s for me. It wasn't that kind of movement. It was just me coming into the laws of, I want to be here for my children and their children, and I don't want to leave them without giving them the best that I can so that they can give their children the best that they can. And so I have 2 grandchildren. I have Kamari and Anai. I have Denise, who's 36. I have Mario, who's 31. And I have Sudani, who will be 18 in December. And I think because they didn't ask to come into this world, I think it's my duty to be the best and strongest mother that I can be, because when they need me, I need to be there, and I need to be strong enough to be there. I don't want to be this feeble old lady that's sitting up on a rocking chair with her robe on talking about, I ain't got no time for that, I'm tired. I'm gonna be out. We gonna be out. Like, what you need, I'll be there in a minute.
I love it.
What you need.
I love it.
And so if my strength and my journey this far can give them some words and pearls of wisdom, it'll be just to, make sure that what you can control, you can control. And eating is what you can control.
Speak on it.
So,
Melissa here with the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm about to just like fall to the floor. I'm done.
It's like your body is your temple, right? Yes.
It is your temple.
And whatever you bring to the altar, it's important, right?
And we're responsible for taking care of it.
Exactly. This is our first home. And if we got tsunamis happening outside of us, we don't need to put it inside.
Absolutely.
There's tons of stuff coming at us daily. And you're consuming stress. You're consuming stuff through your eyes, through your ears, all your senses, your nose. And so if you can control something, it can be like the scent of like some really good fruit. You ever cut a strawberry open and you could just smell it? Or an orange that wakes you up first thing in the morning? Or a lemon? And you can just smell it. Like, when you say foods and colors and you can smell it and taste it in your mind. When I do 30-day cleanses to reset myself, and I do it when I come off the road, because even though I'm eating at vegan restaurants, we have a great one in Detroit called Detroit Vegan Soul. That's where I get my junk food.
Mm-hmm. I've eaten there.
And it's like, you can eat all kinds of fried stuff, but it's not always good for you fried. Like if you can eat it right out of the ground and you just wrench it off and eat it, that's, you know what I'm saying? Wrench it off and eat it. That's the best you can do for yourself. But every now and then I have to hit a hard reset button. And that's usually when I get off the road. And I've been on the road from the end of September till now. And I've been to Georgia. I've been to Florida like 4 times. I've been now to DC, and then I'll go to Tennessee. And so I'm eating other foods that other people cook. And even though sometimes they have good intentions, it's not what I'm cooking. So all the ingredients, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And even though I'm eating at vegan restaurants, they may have good intentions, but sometimes they might overcook it. Sometimes the bread is too much. Sometimes you're pushing in too many things, and you don't know where it's grown.
Oils they're using.
Exactly. And you don't know who washed their damn hands.
Or the energy behind it. We just talked about that. Who's cooking
who's
the food,
intentional.
and you're angry, or you're mad, or you're spitting in my shit. Like, you just don't know.
And so for me, I need to always hit a reset button. So when I go home after Tennessee, my last trip, I am going to do a 20-day cleanse where I don't eat anything, and I just do a drink every day for 20 days. And I get very quiet, and I also don't do exercise because I reserve my energy. And I pray, and every now and then I'll do a small drawing, but I can almost hear God. I can hear God in me, and I can think clearer. There's no caffeine. I drink herbal tea, and I'm just quiet.
Yeah.
And so people in my office will be like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm good." And they're like, "Oh, she's on the cleanse," because I even walk quieter. You know, I don't know if you've heard of Thach Nhat Hanh.
No.
He is a Buddhist who talks about walking in peace. And so I think sometimes when you understand meditation and Buddhist thoughts, you understand how to balance yourself. And the world and how the world is, and also what your weaponry is in the world. And for me, art is that, to be able to say that is my sword, and my shepherd, if you would, and to say, with what I'm doing, to take Nina Simone's challenge and say that, to be an artist in the world and not to reflect the times that you're living in is not to really have a voice. And so I definitely want to have a voice in Artivism. So I want to hold up the women that I know should have statues built in their honor. And that's what you saw in the mural that I did.
Which was awesome.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to take a really quick break and we're going to come back. Got a couple more questions for you, then we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
Deep. Damn, Sabrina, you going to hit us with all this?
That's my mermaid. Sorry, not sorry.
We'll be back, guys. You're listening to Perfect Day, produced by Artist Authentic. For more of Authentic's work, visit allornothingstudios.com. Who are just tuning in, this is Melissa with the Edible Activist Podcast, broadcasting live here from the Line Hotel on Full Service Radio. I am sitting here with the awesome Sabrina Nelson from Detroit. What up, though?
What up, doe?
That's what Detroiters say.
That's
what I just learned. Sabrina is an artist. She is a mom. She's been on this veganism journey, and she's just been dropping some gems on us and just sharing from her perspective on like how, her art and activism and how all of that intertwines, and just her art is her weapon, which I think is just powerful, and I just really appreciate your story on why you chose to go vegan and what that means to you, and just creating a lifestyle that works for you, so that's really beautiful. We talked briefly about just being in a when you're creating and you're in your space, whether you're painting, whether you're drawing, whether you're doing photography, whatever that creation mode is, and having that mental clarity, I'm sure is so important. So when it comes to food, and we have so many great artists, and again, not to judge people on what they eat and what they consume, but just speak to the importance about like having that mental clarity and setting those intention when you are going into that creative, zone.
I'm always in the creative zone. So like I said about going crazy, if you just rest where you're comfortable, you don't have to go
resting
there.
Crazy.
Right. So everything is art for me. The art of living, the art of breathing, the art of walking, the art of eating, the art of painting, drawing and installation, and also the idea of impermanent art. Impermanent art is something that you build or you make that will not last. And so I feel like my life is an impermanent art installation. I tell my children that from the day you're born, you're dying. What's important is what you're doing with that dash. Like, the song says, living my best life.
Living my best life.
How are you making a mark? How are you changing the world that you don't want to exist in the way that it exists? And for me, using my art format to do that. And I am posting things that are not considered art, if you would, that would be in a frame in a white cube space, which we call galleries or museums where there are dead masters. I am creating artwork for people that would see it, that may not go into those highbrow spaces. When I do an installation, it can be in the middle of a forest, or it can be outside in an alleyway. It can be a shrine, if you will, to the three great women that I painted, Grace Lee Boggs and Charity Hicks, and Jessica Care Moore.
Shout out to Jessica,
yes,
man.
absolutely.
All three women. But
all of them had something that I thought was important to say about who they were as activists. And with Grace Lee Boggs, I painted above her head, and I got the quote from A.L. Weaver, who is known as Invincible. She is definitely a social activist and a sister in Detroit that I think is amazing, and she fights for people's rights and food rights and housing rights. And I don't know if you know her, but you need to get to know her if you don't. But she gave me the quote. Between her and Dream Hampton, they came to see me.
I love Dream Hampton.
I love her too. They gave me the quote from Grace Lee Boggs that now is the time to feed our souls. And you can take that and think about it in so many different ways. With Jessica, I use the quote, somebody's got to care more. She actually uses that as her signature. She teaches in prisons. So she feeds people intellectually, and she teaches kids how to be artists without fear. And then with Charity Hicks, her tagline and hashtag was wage love. She fought for water rights. And I think with food advocacy, and especially veganism, the more people who eat meat, the more the waters are being polluted. Absolutely. And so, we can fight for water rights, for people to have free water. However, if the water is not clean, then we're not clean and we're killing ourselves. So, all of them have something to do with what we're feeding ourselves between our souls, our minds, and our bodies. And if we have control over that, we can. But if we don't know, if we're just raised in a family and you just eat what they give you, it's like religion, it's like your hair, it's like education. Mm-hmm. Like you have to start taking control of your own mind, body, and soul.
Absolutely.
And then be responsible with that space that you're given as a gift, and figure out how to feed it what's healthiest for it. What we look at, on social media, what we allow, and how we allow others to see us, how we control that image, right? Mm-hmm. And then what we eat. And then I'm always posting food that I think looks beautiful because I think it's important for people to see that. But the same thing about artwork. Art can be something for the eyes to see, right? And so when I'm doing my own personal works, not the performance art pieces, but my own personal works, I use the Blackbird as a metaphor for Black women. Where I'm talking about, we're losing our fledgling, but how well are we protecting them? Are we educating them in a way which shows them that go here, don't go there? When you're in this space, this is how you need to react to survive. So teaching them how to see things in a way that the world doesn't show us, right? And so I think if you educate your children, sometimes fate will have whatever fate will have. Mm-hmm. But if you have an opportunity to educate your children and teach them how to reach out to one another and say, well, if this one can't do it, then I'm here and I can shield this one and I can share what you taught me to help this one. And so as many kids as I can touch with my artwork, with my creativity, with the way that I eat, the way that I move in the world, my hope is that I'm spreading some kind of light. I'm being light. I'm sharing light. You know what I mean?
I know what
and so hopefully my artwork does that. And if my art doesn't do it, then my walk does it. If my walk doesn't do it, then my food does it. If my food doesn't do it, then my words should do it. So I'm touching, like, I guess Durga.
You know you're feeding me right
hands,
now, right? I'm just sitting here receiving so much.
Well, my tentacles are spreading. They're spreading.
I am being fed. And that's why I'm was just really excited about this episode, this show, because it can just get so deep. So when we're talking about food activism and edible activism, feeding mind, body, and soul.
Right. And
you can eat vegan all day. You can eat local all day. But if you're not feeding your mind...
Listen, if you're not looking at people like Bryant Terry and reading books from the Afro-Vegan and understanding how to plant foods and understanding that there are people like Malik Yakini and other cities, right? Right? That's planting seeds for tomorrow. Not just let's just plant and then harvest and eat today and not worry about tomorrow, but planting seeds with others, teaching them how to be urban farmers, which is an interesting word to me. It's almost like hot ice. Urban farmers.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Y'all families been planting.
We've
been doing this. So now we urban farmers. We're urban farmers because we're city. Listen, like you just be a farmer.
Just be a farmer.
Like if you're coming from the Great Lakes area where we have 4 seasons, where the trees teach us perfectly how to let go of dead shit, and then they come back strong, right? And then they have color change. And so when you look at the seasons in Michigan, and you look at how those trees change colors, and you look at how they just die and just go to sleep, right? And they let go of those leaves softly. And then they come back and they strong again. And those new nuts grow, right? And so looking at how nature treats itself just around you, like they're teaching you things that you're missing those lessons because we're looking at those screens and we're scrolling.
Touche.
You know what I'm saying? Like how dare you miss that lesson? So hopefully as they scroll, they'll see. Hopefully everything that I post, I'm not trying, because of course Yoda says, Luke, there is no try. There is either do or do not. And you know Yoda's from Detroit, by the way. Y'all didn't know that?
No.
Well, I'll tell you that sidebar. The creator of Yoda went to the college that I represent, College for Creative Studies, and her name is Wendy Froud. And before she graduated, the Jim Henson's puppet company came to recruit her because she was making puppets, and she is the creator of Yoda. So Yoda's from What Up Doe?
What Up Doe?
So that's what I'm saying.
Shut the front door.
Right there. Bam. Bam. So, the thing is that either you do or you don't do it. So you walk in the way that you really say that you're going to be in this life and just be about it. Inatake Shange said something that I thought was really great. I went to her memorial service here on Monday, and she says, have a good time in this world while you're here, and don't fear having a good time. Find it and just be about it. And don't be sorry for it. Enjoy your life. My creed is always like, do no harm, but take no shit.
Hello.
Right? So do no harm. So I'm reducing my carbon footprint, being a vegan, but I ain't no chump. Right? And so making sure that as I plant seeds and as I paint and as I walk on this planet, that I'm making sure that I'm leaving something for someone else to live, and not be as hurt. Buddha was always trying to find how to end suffering, and I think we can do that within ourselves first. Like they say on the airplane, save yourself first.
Yep. Put that mask
right?
on first.
Put that mask on first, and then you can save others. And so I believe in that. And I think if someone wants to follow me and really follow me, take the advice of taking control of your own life. And if you can't control what you put in your mouth and what you put in your mind and what you put in your eyes, that's a problem. So think about that,
I wish I had all damn day to sit here and talk to Sabrina. Well, first of all, she got to go because she got work to do.
I do.
She got work to do. She got to recruit. She's going over to Duke Ellington, y'all. Shout out to Duke Ellington, man.
It was Peggy Cooper-Fritz who died recently, who was a great advocate and supporter for the arts. She bought, I think, 5 of my son's works.
Oh, wow.
And so I know her work is being donated to the Studio Museum of Harlem, and I'm not sure, I don't know if it's the Smithsonian or somewhere else. I'm not sure. It could be another institution in New York too, but you know, when it's women who are doing this magical work and they leave legacies, like in the Take Shange and Grace Lee Boggs and Charity Hicks, you know, you have to honor those legacies. And my hope is that when I go in that school, I'll feel her spirit, and maybe some of those kids will come to Detroit with me and change the world with their art. You never know. And even if they don't come to Detroit with me, hopefully we'll create a bond and a relationship that, you know, creative lights, you know, will be beacons together. You know, light finds light. That's why you and I saw each other, because light sees light.
Absolutely. Where can we find you at on social media? I know where I can find you, but tell the audience where we can find you, Sabrina.
So I am on Instagram. And when I'm on Instagram, I'm like, I would say that I'm more often definitely a political poster on Instagram. So, I mean, on Twitter. So I'm Nelson Sabrina on Twitter. I'm Sabrina Nelson 67 on Instagram. I'm Sabrina Nelson on Facebook. I'm on Vimeo. I'm on...
Just Google her.
That's what you need to do. Because I don't think anybody else is on MySpace and they not on Tumblr, but I'm still there. I'm even on Snapchat, y'all.
If you on the Snap?
Girl, listen, when I'm recruiting high school babies, I am where they are. So I'm on Snapchat with all them filters, being rabbits and dogs and cats.
I love it. And sticking your little tongue out.
I don't do that one. But I just got a new phone that has this awesome little emoji that I created with my daughter helped me create it. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So, you know, wherever the babies are, I'm there. I got on Tumblr and they all left. Like, I'm in the room by myself, just like MySpace. I'm like, hello, hello.
Yeah. Well, and if you are ever in Detroit, like so does the artwork stay up or does it come down?
The murals stay up until the weather moves them down. Or unless they are painted over if they're peeling really bad.
Got it.
The mural festival decides which ones last and which ones are painted over. And, you know, I like the idea of impermanent art. I love the idea of me living longer than my art pieces. And so it makes for it's almost like a one-night concert or a limited edition print. Like, you really are going to go and see these performers. If Jill Scott came here and this was her last concert, you're going to go to it, right?
Yep.
Because you assume that this is her last concert. This is the last time. So if that mural has a limited life, then go see it.
I know that's right.
And I'm okay with it not being forever because we aren't even
Well, your
forever.
legacy lives on forever, so it doesn't even matter.
Right.
You know, so, but shout out to Detroit. If you're ever in Detroit, link up with Sabrina. She's awesome. I just met her like spot on, and now she's going to be my Detroit forever friend because her energy is just that amazing, and I love her so much, so dearly. I love Detroit dearly, and so I was fed today, and I hope you guys were too. Sabrina, before we wrap up our show, we always do like a quick spitfire. I didn't really prepare you for it, but it's easy though. It's easy. I got you.
Okay.
I got you. Just a couple questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off by asking, what is your favorite leafy green?
Kale.
Shout out Kale.
Kale, yeah.
Kale, yeah. Right.
I'm a vegan thug. I'll kill up a carrot. Right out the ground.
An edible activist you look up to?
Ooh, I like Samuel Jackson. He cusses really well. I just want to get up to that level. By the time I'm 70 and all my filters fall off, I'm going to be like, how the fuck you doing?
Samuel Jackson is a interesting character.
Yes, he is.
Sweet, spicy, sour, or salty?
Spicy.
Yes.
I'm more of a savory. I have my sugar moments, but I'm definitely like cayenne, cinnamon, ginger.
Oh, yeah.
All of the hot stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Lita is the ginger girl over here.
Yes.
Favorite fruit?
Ooh. I think it's strawberry. It's the only fruit with the seeds on the outside, and I feel like that about my children. Like Rumi said, your children are of you, but they don't belong to you. And so I think of myself as a strawberry, but I also like strawberries for the fiber, but they're the only fruit with the seeds that are on the outside.
Oh, my gosh.
So you think about that. You know what I mean? I mean, that's deep.
That's real deep. I just paused. I can't even ask you the next question. In your own words, what is your definition of an edible activist? I mean, you've pretty much defined it during our conversation.
I guess one that you want to consume. not really like in a bad way, but like when you see someone who is doing good work, who is walking in a pathway that you're like, man, or their paintings are saying things to you, or the music that you hear that they make, or the poetry that they write, or the way that they act and dance makes you want to do something.
That's deep.
Those are the ones that you want to really just, it's almost like, can I just have a taste of that?
Oh, can I have a taste of that?
Yeah.
Can we get another hour? Alexia's like, no. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We're here live on Full Service Radio every Wednesday at 11 a.m., and you can access each episode after it airs at fullserviceradio.org. Be sure to follow me at Food Talks DC on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Are you an edible activist? If so, come join me on the show. I would love to feature you. Send me a DM on Instagram or email me at melissa@goodsoilevents.com. Thanks, and have a wonderful day. Peace, Sabrina.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to this program on Full Service Radio, broadcasting and recording from the Line Hotel in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C. Full Service Radio programming can be accessed live and archived on fullserviceradio.org. Our talk programming is available on most podcast apps like iTunes and Stitcher, and our DJ sets are available on mixcloud.com/fullserviceradio. Full Service Radio features over 30 weekly shows and over 50 local hosts covering every topic imaginable. If you want to be a guest or get involved, email us at info@fullserviceradio.org. Follow us on Twitter @FullServiceRDO, on Instagram and Facebook @Full Service Radio. Thanks for listening.